welcome to another episode of Shocking Hot Toy Reviews. 3, sometimes 2, idiots, a camera, and a review. To my right is...
Topher.
To my left is...
Toast.
And I am Mr. Berg. We're reviewing Diamond Select's Pacific Uprising Kaiju drone figure from the 3rd series. And you can tell as usual that there's a stupid box. There's the toy. Spoilers, this spoils the movie.
This was shown at the New York Toy Fair prior to the movie being out. It spoiled that part of the film in so much as the film was spoiled from the moment it started. It's a terrible movie. Before we talk about the toy, can we talk about the fact that this is like the special review for the Patreon subscribers? And one of the guiding lights behind this channel is not here.
Moment of silence for Wilson.
Okay, I think that's good.
He'll probably cut this out.
One of the things that I thought was a cool idea, a cool feature, a cool design was this thing right here. I like the idea of, there are Jaegers that get infected by kaiju. And you have this sort of hybrid crossover kind of thing. I thought, wow, that's a really cool idea.
So, did they pull it off?
Well, without the film right next to it, yeah, it looks good. I mean, to me, you set that on the shelf by your Jaegers. Even if someone hadn't seen any of the movies and they saw, robot, and then if you had your kaiju up there too, I think most people would see that this is the halfway point between those two things.
I kind of disagree.
Really? Explain.
Well, as far as the sculpt goes, I think it's the softest sculpt Diamond has done for any Pacific Rim character.
Interesting.
The robot bits are not sculpted very well, in my opinion. There are little panel lines and stuff all over here, but they are not visible. Like, I had to zoom in to make sure that I was talking correctly because I couldn't see them from the extra 5 inches away.
Sure.
And that's part paint job, but a lot of it's sculpt. I don't think that panel lining would make this guy that much better.
No. Having the figures from the other waves, when I play with those and I play with this thing just feels cheap. It feels like corners were cut compared to the other two waves where it feels like, wow, I can't believe how much value I got for $20. This feels like the paint's weak. You're talking about the lines on the head. Could that just be a poor mold? Was the original sculpt actually better, crisper, sharper, and this is just what you get from cheap manufacturing?
Looking at the picture on the back of the box, it's a poor sculpt.
I like the sculpt, I like the paint, but I haven't played with the other two waves as much as you two have in that regard. And is this really only $20?
$24.99.
I think it's pretty impressive.
It's impressive until you compare it to the other two waves. And even the kaiju bits, they are uninspired on the box, but they're like, that looks like what I would do with hot glue.
Ouch.
I would agree that the spikes aren't the greatest. I think the robot parts are well done. I think overall it's pretty well painted, except the spikes are just gray blobs with some blue paint.
I think the paint is weak overall. There is a lot going on here, paint-wise. If you compare it to some of the other Jaegers, for example, where you have far fewer paint operations, this one has a lot of things. I can't even imagine what the masks were for this toy, because you have one color here, you have another color here, you have another color there, you have another color there, and another color there. So there's a lot of paint going on. A lot of it is kind of weak. It looks like maybe it was done in a hurry, particularly, in my eyes, the blue lines on all the dark kaiju bits. To me, they look like someone dipped in a brush and went real quick, and the lines are kind of thick, they're heavy, they don't have that kaiju flow to them. They seem very hastily done to me.
Yes.
I also kind of wish they were a brighter blue, kaiju blue lines. In my mind, they were all like neon colors almost, like they glowed.
They did have a little bit of a glowy aspect to them.
I wish the blue bits were glossy compared to the matte, like rocky outcroppings.
Sure.
So there'd be more of a differential, because like if you barely start to close your eyes, it all just kind of blends.
What this reminds me of, if you take a coloring page and you have someone use like finely sharpened coloring pencils who really colors within the lines very, very well, and then someone else who does the same thing with blunt crayons and doesn't color in the lines very, very well. Even if it's the same color palette, one has a sharp, crisp look to it, and the other looks kind of dull and almost blurry. And I think that this falls into the latter category of being kind of dull and blurry. That, with maybe a sort of soft sculpt, those two things together are not doing this figure any favors. There are a couple fine details that actually work out really well. There's a little tampo work here that says Shao. The tampos are really nice. But then again, you have this really crisp tampo, and then over here, it looks like someone drew that on with a Sharpie.
The one place I think this guy does somewhat excel at is the articulation.
Really?
I don't remember these guys moving around a lot like the other Jaegers.
Okay.
His head swivels, double ball jointed shoulders, so you can get a butterfly effect a little bit. He can go 360. I mean, if he had a sword, he could hold swords.
I suppose, yeah.
He has ball jointed elbows. He has ball jointed wrists that all
90 on the elbow.
almost 90 degrees, but pretty much what you need to get him to do. He has a swivel chest and a rocker joint, or it might all just be one joint. I don't know. Can't see up in there too well. Double ball jointed tips, knees, which are very loose ratcheted, maybe, or just might be tight paint applications.
Yeah, I can't tell one or another.
Or he has the double ball jointed ankle tilt, so he can get good enough for poses. If he wasn't such floppiness, he can stand. He's on par with the other ones that I played with.
I would agree with you, except for two things that I feel are missing that are necessary. The head really bothers me. The fact that you can turn the head, I mean, like, yeah, that's kind of cute, but I want to be able to tilt the head, and you can't tilt the head, and that's a problem. Like,
Does he tilt the head, though?
whether or not he tilts the head in the movie, I want to be able to play with him the way I want to play with him, and, the way this is sculpted, it seems like it shouldn't be that restricted, but I feel like, hey, that could have been a ball joint, why not give him a little bit more personality? This is, to me, probably the worst offender, though, because there's this nice disc in here. What bothers me is that you can't turn this.
There's no swivel.
There's no swivel.
Oh.
It's a hinge without the swivel.
That's a missed opportunity.
To me, it's almost kind of just a standard joint that when you have this type of hinge, this ball hinge, that you just put a swivel post in there. And I feel like that would have been an easy opportunity for one more really nice piece of articulation.
What else does he come with?
More hands!
Which are almost exactly the same.
Slightly more open.
Slightly more relaxed hand, and slightly more relaxed hand.
I would rather have had articulated.
I would agree. I would rather have additional points of articulation than the extra hands in this case.
Or just put hand articulation in, and then it can make both poses.
Donna! You can get a sense of scale. Here's Broken Arm Violator. Here's the broken arm of Omega Supreme. This is Bandai's.
Obsidian Fury.
This guy is.
He's a wave mate with the Kaiju Joint. That's November Ajax.
Yes.
Sure it is.
And this is Crab Rangoon.
And that's Crab Rangoon. He fits great in with your 7-inch Jaegers and Kaiju figures that he was designed to fit in with.
Yes.
Don't have first time jitters. And he passes the patented Shakana 1-foot test in under 15 seconds.
That's why I'm here.
Yep.
So we were talking about his articulation before, and I agree that the arms are well done, but I think a lot of the leg articulation gets lost because he can't stand that well on his own. I actually like the sculpt and paint for the price point.
Oh, sure. You're allowed to have your own opinion.
It's like $25.
Yeah.
I think he's well enough. As far as hammers go, maybe a 3.5.
All right.
It's funny because I feel like I've spent a lot of time in this review kind of ragging on him and pointing out the things that I don't like.
Bash the shit out of this guy.
But overall, I think he's kind of fun, and I don't regret buying him. And honestly, if you were more than 1%, because in the movie there's a whole bunch of these guys. They become sort of the disposable enemy for the Jaegers to fight. If they were available individually more easily, I'd probably buy 4 or 6 of them just to have them in the diorama.
Would you change them to look slightly different, or would you just keep them all the same?
I'd probably keep them all the same. It's busy enough in the design that if you had two of them next to each other, they don't necessarily immediately look, oh, identical. That's exactly the same guy. He's kind of fun to play with. I wish he had a little bit more posability. He's fun enough to play with, and I think he does a nice job of representing the character from the film in a way that's very satisfying for that price point.
How many hammers?
I will give him 3.5 hammers because I like playing with him, and yeah.
I'm gonna give him a 2 out of 5 hammers. I really dislike the sculpt work. I think the paint is subpar, especially for what Diamond Select has been doing lately.
That is true.
And now that you ruined the elbow articulation for me, I didn't even notice that. I just thought they swiveled. Yeah, he's meh. For $25, he's meh. So there you have it. Another episode of Shock and Awe Toy Reviews. Check the show notes out for our Patreon page, our Facebook page, Twitter. You can follow us, all that stuff. If you have any questions, let us know. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
You should thank your Patreons because
we-
they're the ones who are watching this, right? Or is this a video just for them, or they just voted on this?
They voted on it.
They voted on this. Well, you should thank them.
I thank my Patreon subscribers who voted. He won by 1 vote. Thank you, everybody. And let's win one for the Gipper.
The Gipper, is he still alive?
He's smoking right now with Wilson.
All right.
Wilson's smoking the Gipper.
Yeah, get high.